Welcome to Fresh Rubber.
You beat me to it. You beat me to the punch, just like Lewis Hamilton beat Kimi Antonelli to the punch. I think tonight we've got some demons. We've got to talk about some demons. On the one hand, Charles Leclerc exorcising his demons and finally getting that Ferrari victory, his first in roughly 2 years. And on the other hand, young Kimi Antonelli, who he is experiencing again the ghosts of last year, of mechanical failures and good results slipping through his brake ducts or some other kind of contraption around his wheel.
Dude, this year it's not his fault. It's not his fault this year. Last year it was clearly his fault. He got the yips. He got scared on the European leg. He, crashed out emotionally, psychologically. This year, he's going through his Lando arc, or he's going through his Piastri arc. I don't know which one. You choose the first 6 months of the year, the second 6 months. He is just in mechanical failure, blow up, crash out. It's not fair, really. It's not fair, but this is what makes fantastic championship chasers and racers, is the fact that as good as Kimi is this year, look, he scored 0 points in 2 of the last 3 races. Like he scored
8 points from the sprint. Let's not forget.
Yeah, you can take the sprint, but sure, be pedantic, Chase. That's what you do.
That's
but listen,
my job.
in the main race, he has scored no points in 2 of the last 3 races. This is huge. I compare it to what Piastri went through in a way, where he just kind of had the championship sewn up, and suddenly it's slipping through his fingers. I think he's going to be okay. But oh my gosh, as a non-partisan viewer, as I've reiterated through this season, this was exactly the kind of race that I wanted. This is exactly what I want. I want it to get tight again, and he's going to have to still fight for it.
You said it, I think it was 3 rounds ago. All we need is 2 or 3 Kimi DNFs, and Lewis is in with a chance. And you kind of manifested destiny right there, bro. I think Kimi's got a gripe, and he's got a bone to pick with you for your foretelling.
Sorry, Kimi.
For your wisdom. But sadly, it's not quite coming together for Lewis Hamilton. He's not getting the results that he needed.
No.
Barcelona notwithstanding, the last 2 rounds have been more back to, I guess, what you'd expect to see business as usual for Hamilton and Ferrari, having issues with tyre strategy, complaining on the radio kind of endlessly. It's a little bit more like the Lewis Hamilton we've come to know and not love last year. But hey, let's not dwell on the negatives too much longer. Charles Leclerc finally has a victory in red after such a long time. And I think when I look back on the last couple of rounds, you and me, we've tried to kind of pop armchair psychologists, sort of understand what's going on, what's happening with his brakes, what's happening with his mindset. Does Charles Leclerc have the yips? Has he lost his form? Is he fully being, knocked off his stride by the GOAT in the form of Lewis Hamilton? And, I'd say this is a great counter punch to that. He's bringing it back. He's performing well on track. And, despite the sort of likelihood that I think we had of a Kimi Antonelli overtake late in the race, which would have been frustratingly reminiscent of his experience in 2021, Charles being overtaken by a Mercedes driver towards the end of the race. Charles did the doing. He did what he needed to do, and he got the victory. And that must have been so sweet for him, don't you think? Just being able to finally cast off those demons and say, right, 2026, my season finally started. Let's get at it.
Yeah, Leclerc, there's no sweeter feeling than such a lovely, lovely human being and man, a gentleman of the sport, winning. You just can't be annoyed with Leclerc winning. I've said it for the last few years we've done this podcast. I think he's still one of the best racers on the grid. I think he's been the victim of terrible Mercedes machinery and strategy over the years. I'm happy for him. I still think it was gifted to him. I'm going to give you a couple of little stats here. When Ferrari has won over the last 3 races, it's only because Kimi either hasn't finished or hasn't ended up in the points. I just want us to pause on that moment. The only reason Ferrari have won with Lewis and this race is because Kimi has not been in the picture due to no fault of Kimi's.
I don't know that. Yeah, I hear you, and I don't argue
well,
that.
well,
I don't argue that one
he
bit.
he DNF'd 2 races ago,
Yes.
and in this race he was going to catch Leclerc in 3 laps, and he was absolutely going to overtake him until he had mechanical failure. So it was gifted to Leclerc, and it was and I don't know if I want to say it was gifted to Hamilton because I don't think it was, but like that is an interesting stat. The only time Ferrari have won is when Kimi hasn't ended up in the points through no fault of his own.
Yeah.
Also, to add to that,
Go
the
on.
only time George has managed to get onto the podium for a P2 is when Kimi's also not those same 2 races,
circumstances.
the same circumstances. So
Yeah.
look, Kimi, when Kimi goes out, when Kimi crashes out, other people get a chance. That's
Yeah.
what I'm seeing. That's what I see.
But only Italians get a chance at winning, or Italian teams. Look, what I'd say about Barcelona is I think Hamilton had that victory sewn up. He won by like 19 seconds to the rest of the field.
Yep.
I think yes, Kimi got past George, but I don't think he was coming close to Hamilton on that day. So
Yeah,
whilst I
agree.
love the stat and I love the sort of the alignment synchronicity of it with this race that just happened yesterday. I think this race was more gifted to Leclerc because Kimi was coming. There was a point in time towards the end of Kimi's first stint on the mediums where I was thinking he's not closing down that gap. Actually, does Leclerc have the legs to do this? But then I think there was a couple of replays and all of a sudden the gap had dropped by like a second and a half or 2 seconds. And I thought, okay, all right. We got this. Kimi's just got to do what Kimi does. Bono's going to do what Bono does. They're going to manage this perfectly. And, you know, as far as the commentators were concerned, as far as Crofty and Brundle were concerned, it was Kimi's race to lose. And I was sitting there thinking, guys, commentators' curse is a real thing. Can you please stop talking about this race as though it was a guaranteed Kimi victory? And a couple of laps later, what do we see? We see Kimi Antonelli suddenly slowing. We see Kimi Antonelli going off track multiple times, exploring the surrounds at Silverstone, it seems. And this kicks off about a 5 to 10 lap window where he is literally exploring the depths of what's broken in his car live in real time with the radio. The engineers are going, give us information. Kimi's saying it's fundamentally broken. The car won't turn. What is going on? Do I need to retire? Oh, no, hang on. I'm going to stay out. No, I can hang on to that last points paying position, that 10th place. But oops, I forgot. I've just been off track 100 times and I'm going to have a penalty. And despite that, this is where I'd say this is an example of Kimi's fortitude again. Despite that, after everything that happened, it did look like he was going to get that last point until another twist in the tail happened and Max Verstappen literally lost the rear end coming through Stowe and ended up in the gravel. And all of a sudden, we've got a safety car. We've got ourselves the crocodile bunching up again and a 5-second penalty that gets issued to Kimi Antonelli for, I think, valid reasons. Gets put on Kimi's race, and they all finish, within half a millisecond of each other. And instead of him finishing in P10, he finishes 16th place. So, I mean, the guy's pretty unlucky, right? That's a pretty unlucky result. That string of issues, but like, still got a smile on his face at the end of the race.
Couple of things about that. I think it's really cool to hear someone like Kimi, who's leading so far ahead. Like, what's he leading now? Like 25 points ahead still, like a full race victory ahead. His hunger for 1 point was so inspiring. Like, there was a bit of petulance about it, but ultimately he's just like, I've got these notes that I kind of wrote down as I was watching the race. It's just like, something's broken. Bono's like, the wheel shield on the left-hand side's gone. Car's not turning. Bono's like, box. He's like, I can try and get at least 1 point. He's like, yeah, we can try and remove it. Like, it comes in, it goes out, it comes in. The whole way through, Kimi's just like, I will do anything just for 1 point. It's like, Kimi's like so chill on camera post race, kind of, Even when he gets pole, he's got this. He feels so happy-go-lucky, so easy. But then you just see this other side to him that is still so ferocious, to the point that he will drag a broken car around the track in the hope of 1 point. And that just shows such wisdom beyond his years, because he knows that 1 point could decide a championship at the end of the year. You know, we saw it last year with it being 2 points between Lando and Max. Like, he knows, and he will fight for 1 point. And actually, more than that, I think he's saying, I'll put myself in physical danger here. For a tyre blowing up, for like something going really wrong where I end up in the wall. I'll put all of it on the line for 1 point. So many other drivers, Jace, would just box the car and give up, but not Kimi. I was impressed. I was really impressed.
You know what you're just describing reminds me a little bit of the I think it was the 70th anniversary Grand Prix in 2020 when Lewis Hamilton, not the same thing, but Lewis Hamilton's wheel burst.
Yes.
On the second to last lap.
Yes.
Or on the last lap, and he managed to drag that Mercedes home despite Max Verstappen closing in on him, and Max almost caught him. He won by a margin of about 5 seconds, despite having 3 wheels on track at the time. So yeah, there's just something. Maybe there's something in the water in Mercedes. They know how to inspire this kind of response in their drivers. They know how to kind of pep them up, and maybe it's just Bono. Maybe we've got to give Bono more credit where it's due. That he's the guy who's just keeping it calm, keeping them on the right track.
Bono is the dad that we all wish deep down that we had had. He's just like, he's firm when he needs to be firm. He doesn't take any nonsense, but he's so faithful, so consistent, so supportive. He is like the ultimate father, kind of like, you just don't get better. Like, I don't know. There's just something about his voice. I could just go to sleep listening to him and be like, Gavin, you've had a tough day, but you know, you did everything you could. Like, let's take from it what we can. Like, let's a new day tomorrow. Like, it's just like you can listen to him talk to you as you fell asleep. Anyway, maybe that's my daddy issues. But Bono, what a legend.
Kudos to him.
Kudos to him. So look, where are we at now? Russell has usurped Lewis. He's now in P2 in the Drivers' Championships, a measly 25 points behind. Like, this has come down, hasn't it, Jace? Was it not 60 points behind?
It was just 58 points.
It was
58 points at its largest.
It was 58 points just the other day, and now it's a third of that. It's 25 points, a little bit over a third. It's 25 points. Yeah. Game is on. Game is on.
And George has got to be feeling pretty lucky, unlike previous rounds where he was unlucky. Like in Canada, for instance, when his car went pop after he was leading the race for so long. In this instance, what did he have? He had a slow puncture where he was chasing Max Verstappen and he got himself a slow puncture. So he had to come in for an extra pit stop that he wasn't expecting. And then despite that, and actually not having the pace, he was several tenths of a second slower generally than his competitors this weekend. Despite not having the pace, what happens? Antonelli in front of him has an issue with his wheel armature, and then Verstappen crashes in front of him. And all of a sudden, what was going to be kind of a damage limitation weekend for Russell ends up being he gains 18 points on his teammate and brings that deficit down to 25.
You forgot the crucial third one, which is that under the virtual safety car...
Oh my God! Yes. Okay. Tell us what happened.
He stayed out. He just stayed out. And this is the flip of the coin. Like, Leclerc comes in, safe as houses, no problem. He had such a lead ahead, he could comfortably come in, get fresh rubber. Ferrari, between a rock and a hard place, we have to bring Lewis in, right? This is the kind of thing that we normally don't bring Lewis in for and then get absolutely rogered. So they bring him in, and of course, literally, I felt like a second as he comes out the pit lane, George just stays out, slips through.
Thank you very much.
And God, oh my gosh, the flashbacks of Abu Dhabi 2021 of the safety car.
I was thinking Gav's got to be triggered by this.
I was so triggered because I'm just like, give them one lap. Like Lewis
No. See, I got triggered in the other way because in Abu Dhabi 21 they didn't follow race procedure.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but
This
hear
time
me out.
they did.
Hear me out first. They followed race procedure. They let the unlapped cars fully unlap themselves. But like Lewis is there on the radio, just saying like, okay, like give me all the power I need, like convinced that he's going to get at least 1 or 2 laps to unleash this soft tyre on George ahead of him in P2, who's got an aging hard tyre. He's not come in. Like it should have been, what actually should have happened is exactly what happened to Lewis with Max in 2021, where the fresher rubber, the soft tyre behind him should have just done it in 2 laps. And he just didn't get a chance. I was just like, oh, so sad. But yeah.
But yet
brutal.
another example, right, of Ferrari just like...
No, they did the right thing by pitting Lewis. They did the right thing by putting, I think.
Well, all right, you can debate that endlessly, but at the end of the day, he lost 3 points. He stayed on the podium at his home Grand Prix.
Yep.
It's probably not the worst thing in the world to happen to Lewis, but I just point to that as a classic example where there was a message on the radio before he pitted for the first time at the end of his first stint where he said, the tyres are fine. Don't pit me.
Oh, I remember that.
Tyres
Like
are
early
fine.
on. What was that, like lap 25 or something? That was
Very early.
yeah.
It was the end of his first stint. And so he's arguing with his engineer and the strategy, arguing with home base, basically saying, I know more. I'm in the car. I'm driving these wheels around. Why aren't we in sync here? And then later on, he's complaining about the car and its dynamics and the ability to turn and all that sort of thing. And then they bring him in. It's just like the synchronicity or the alignment is just not there. It's not there with them at the moment.
No, but Lewis is saying the car won't turn in lap 23, 22,
Yes.
23. He's saying it won't turn. And they're like, well, like a big part of that, it's not just your balance, but like you need more grip. So I get where Ferrari went with that. I think it really was like, I can't think of a race in a while that's had so much going on. Like you say, we had slow punctures for George. We had failed wheel shields for Kimi. We had Max crashing out. We had Hulkenberg failing. We had safety car restarts that never restart. And we had Lewis at the very beginning of the race doing an incredibly uncharacteristic little kind of false start where he gained absolutely nothing. By the way, in that it was just like a clutchy kind of jolt. So he gained nothing, but still got a 5-second penalty. So it was like there was so much going on in this race. I mean, it was a thrilling race, right? It was, and until the end when you could say it kind of all ended in a damp squib. But like, oh my god, like Jace, talk to us about the 3-way battle between Max. In the middle of the race, like I think the best thing about this race was Max with his 2 arch enemies behind him. George, who he just doesn't like on a personal level, just can't stand George, and Lewis, 1 car behind, who obviously is his arch nemesis,
Greatest rival.
The 3 of them together was unbelievable, and it made me feel like I do have problems with this new 50/50 hybrid car. I do have problems with the kind of the Mario Kart power deployment stuff. I do have my issues. But gosh, we're getting wheel-to-wheel racing and we're getting cars that can follow. So what do we feel about these cars?
I feel they're half rubbish. And the half in particular is the battery part. The rest of it's fine. Because what we had in the past was a need for drag reduction system in order to facilitate overtakes because the cars couldn't follow closely. Now we've got ourselves a situation where they've sorted out the aero to the point where they can follow very closely behind each other. The battery stuff is just a gimmick. It's just a gimmick. It adds some extra energy as they go past. I'm waiting for the day when we end up with what used to be called a DRS train. We'll end up getting like an overtake mode train, something like that. Where
I don't think we'll get it.
Well, I think we had the start of it with that battle, but I did love the battle. not only because it spiced up the middle of the race, but because of exactly what you're saying about the stories between those three drivers. When you think about them one by one, we've got Max and George. They are like polar opposites in a way, and they kind of like chalk and cheese or like oil and water. They kind of repel each other. And then you got George and Lewis, the guy that he had his target set on Lewis's back the moment he moved across to Mercedes, and he wanted nothing else but to overtake and to beat Lewis. And then Lewis finally goes off. Like the quality of the racing was amazing.
Yeah.
The battle and the overtakes that we saw coming along the old pit straight, coming up to Copse Corner. That was electric. And I loved Kimi's overtake, the one he did earlier in the race. And then seeing George and Lewis kind of have that like swapsy overtake like go on the inside of the corner, then on the outside, racing so closely through the Maggots-Beckett's complex. Like, yeah, we haven't seen that kind of close racing in a long time. So I love that part. I wouldn't put it down to the battery. I'd put it down to what they did, getting rid of the ground effect aero. And whatever else they've done, it seems to be working. Although, I think Max had some spicy things to say about his rear wing at the end of the race. And remember last time we were talking about how you could basically pass a basketball through the Red Bull rear wing?
Yeah.
I just wonder, Gav, have they kind of taken it too far? Have they sort of just gone that little bit too far over the limit so that now the rear wing doesn't work properly, especially as it slams shut and ends up nearly putting Verstappen into the barrier at high G?
That's exactly what's happening. So whatever Red Bull have done in the design of that rear wing, it's not closing at the moment where you need the downforce. So it's kind of like it's wide open through the straight to give you as much straight line speed as you can get. But whenever he hits a corner, or like whenever he's really pushing the car to its limit, which he needs to do in qualifying, and he needs to do it when he's hunting someone. Whenever that rear wing slams shut at a critical moment, he just goes flying off when he's right on the edge, and he's not used to that. He's been so used to kind of being able to be absolutely on the edge and absolutely in control. And I think the technology is just like, I think we're at a moment where this change of regulation has really divided the field in terms of who likes it and who can drive with it and who really abhors it. And I think Max hates it. I think he hates the finickiness of it. I think he hates the energy deployment side of it. He wants to brake as late as possible into corners. He wants to ride right on the front. I think he got very used to like those ground effect cars that really, sucked you down and allowed you to kind of have the setup he had. And equally, I would say Lewis, on the other hand, absolutely loves it. And Leclerc is really struggling to get to grips with it. So I think that regulation set change has really suited some drivers and not others. Interestingly, in breaking or not so breaking news, there seems to be a suggestion that next year the FIA are going to kind of rein it back in and change the deployment of energy back a little bit towards what it was last year. So we had
that's good.
So we had 70-30 last year, right? In the ground effect cars, 30% energy, electrical energy, 70% engine-based power. This year we've gone 50-50. If you think about it, that 70-30 to 50-50 is a big jump. It's a huge jump. It's got a lot of people off guard. So apparently next year, serious consideration is being made to going to 60-40. So they're like, okay, we've overdone it with the electrical energy. It's, people are getting past, but then they're losing that position immediately because they've deployed all the energy. So it'll be interesting to see if next year 60-40 comes into effect. And if we get some of the kind of the closeness of following with still some of the fun of these kind of like boost button electrical energy moments.
I wonder if it's worth considering making it a variable thing per circuit. You know how the different circuits are more or less energy hungry? Yeah. And you know how they used to be able to move the DRS zones, sort of make them longer or shorter based upon what they expected the cars to be able to do? I wonder if it's worth considering making that power split variable by circuit type.
They do. They already do.
Yeah. Thanks.
So every circuit, depending on the harvesting amount, i.e., kind of the slow elements, the corners, they will change that for every race. So how much you can deploy. So the ratio of deployment. So they're already doing that. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, but I hear you. Yeah.
Did you see that Hadjar outqualified Verstappen?
Yep, I did see that.
He has taken our notes. He's taken them keenly, and he's performing. I think
He's looking great. He's looking great.
It's awesome to see, and it's not. I think he outqualified Max last round as well.
Yep.
So call that a driver hitting his stride, or Max Verstappen hitting a wobbly and just not being happy with what he's got. But I'm really pleased to see Hadjar kind of picking it up and really doing the hard yards and the difficult task of beating a teammate like Max Verstappen. That takes some doing. We haven't seen anyone do that really in the course of the last 5-6 years. He's not quite converting it on race day. His race pace seems to be lagging. And I saw yesterday, or this morning, whenever I watched it, Verstappen just kind of was like, "Yeah, thanks, but I'm just gonna get past you because that's what I do. That is my job here. I'm gonna be the dominant driver." But yeah, it's really cool seeing Hadjar kind of not be relegated to the back of the field, and not even be relegated to the back of Q3. Like he's really holding up his end of the bargain.
Yeah.
And then the Racing Bulls, they're like like the African wild dogs or the sort of hyenas who come around whenever there's a big kill, and they're like, "Yeah, me too. I'm going to get some of that." We got Antonelli, we got Verstappen, both having issues. So I think they were locked on for a P9, P10 finish, but then they get the gift of those two things. So all of a sudden they're enjoying the spoils of just being in the fight and not as bad as the rest,
no mechanical failures.
Yeah.
Not crashing out.
Nearly no team drama between the drivers. Nearly.
I think they're having the time of their lives. Like P6, P7, I think it's great to see. Can we just decide to get rid of Cadillac next year?
Oh.
There's just no point. There's no point. It's like it makes qualifying harder for everyone because particularly Q1, there's too many cars on the track. It's just guys, I don't know. I'm just a bit over it. It feels, every single race. What do we end up with? What do we end up? Oh, okay, no, okay. Wait a sec. Sergio Perez, P14. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, dude.
14. And where's Bottas? Where did Bottas come?
Bottas is P17.
16.
Actually, no, he's 16 because Science got a penalty.
Okay, I take it all back. I'm sorry, boys. Keep going.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
If anything, don't you think we should be ditching Aston Martin at this point in time?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's brutal. It's so brutal.
Oh, God. And it's like Alonso almost didn't make it to the grid. He's there and he's in the middle of maggots and his car just stops. And he doesn't know why. And then at the end, Stroll has something like 3 or 4 5-second penalties for his off-track excursions. Why? Who is he racing? Why is he off track when he's basically racing his teammate? He finishes 2 seconds behind Alonso after a safety car restart. It's just mind-boggling.
Dude, Sergio Perez beat Kimi. How do you feel about it?
Kimi. Oh, but yeah, Antonelli had a 5-second time penalty.
Yeah. Oh man, I really felt Kimi was so upset, wasn't he? Because obviously after his wheel arm rubbing into the sidewall / kind of car falling apart thing happened, he'd already had some track limits. He had the black and white flag, but then obviously he kind of went flying off because his car basically completely failed to work. And then he got another penalty it was so savage for Kimi. So savage.
It is, but I can also understand why it happens. Because, okay.
You gotta have rules. You gotta have rules.
And you could say, I went off track because my car was broken. You could say, well, why were you still driving a broken car around the track? Maybe you should have retired. And secondly, just because your car was broken doesn't give you an excuse to not make the corner and carry on driving. Like it doesn't work. You can't have it both ways. You got to have your cake or eat it. And in this case, that's what you get. But I don't know. I think when it comes to Aston Martin, I really do wonder, like, why do they bother showing up? They come to pretty much a test day. They qualify. Their knockout time in qualifying is pretty close to the 107% rule. It's like 2 or 3 seconds off. And if you're not aware, the 107% rule means if your qualifying time is slower than 107% of the fastest time, then you basically don't qualify for the race because you cannot match the pace and you would be dangerous to have on track. So Aston Martin are kind of getting close to that point of being dangerous on track. So I don't know why you would bother turning up. It's got to be so super frustrating.
So intense. Hey, our mate Franco Colapinto, who we were like rubbishing last year, all year, boy's doing all right, mate.
Hey, he's doing all right. He's making us look stupid.
It's like he's got 18 points. Like Gabriel Bortoleto, who we kind of all thought was like the real talent, is it's interesting. He's having a good run, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't. If I'm really honest, I find it very hard to focus on the lower midfield in a race like today. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, I know you run all your data and you've kind of got all your kind of lap times running in the background. You've got AI firing everything in it. You can probably get a beautiful summary at the end to tell you why Colapinto had a good race today. But like, I find it very hard. But like when I look at it on paper, I'm just like, the guy's converting. He's scoring points. Like it's no bad thing, is it?
It's no bad thing at all. And I think it's partly like if you think about him and Bortoleto, last year they looked a lot more alike. You know, the whole Sauber team that Bortoleto came into, and then Alpine, as they were performing last year, they were pretty much packed it in. They were just focused on 2026. But Bortoleto, he won F2, so I give him, I give him his plaudits there. Colapinto didn't finish the season that he was racing up against Bortoleto, but he probably would have finished P7 or P lower in that. So when you kind of put it on like equal machinery terms, I think you do get a better driver in Bortoleto. But, credit where credit's due, Colapinto is converting, and it's really cool, actually. I'm seeing round after round, Gasly, Colapinto, they're qualifying around the same spot.
Yeah.
And when you think about Colapinto and my general disrespect for him, and Gasly, who is a kind of storied driver who had some unlucky times but has proven himself as a very capable peddler, when you see them performing about the same time, you go, actually,
okay,
that's impressive.
Maybe Colapinto just needed some time.
Yeah. And you wonder what, like, as you say, we focus so much on the front runners. Maybe Colapinto's got some sports psychology going on. Maybe Colapinto's got some changes behind the scenery in terms of race strategy and how they think about a race before and after. Maybe there's some other things that we're just fully not aware about because it's so not on our radar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I make a snarky comment?
Go on.
Totally snarky comment. That McLaren livery was so disgusting this weekend. I wanted to just avert my eyes every time I saw it. That to me looked like really, really bad AI slop. Was not a fan. Agree, disagree? What do you think, Gab?
Agree. Totally agree. And I mean, I'm all for like a white livery, but they just really messed that white livery up. There was it like kind of a green, like almost like kind of like a Wimbledon green?
Yes.
It was so fugly. It was so fugly.
It was like a Shannon's. You remember that Shannon's car insurance?
Dude, how can I forget Shannon's? How can I forget? She get like the classic car racing effort. Yeah, it was very, very bad.
Terrible. The best white livery that I think I've seen in the last couple of years was the Red Bull one that they bring out at Suzuka every now and then. Like that's got this really classy touch of red, a little bit of blue, primarily.
Has it got like
white.
the cherry blossoms? Has it got something to do with cherry blossoms? Yeah, that's it.
So good.
Yeah, so good. Do you know what do you know what I hate more? And I think you're going to really disagree with me here. We're going into aesthetics here. But what I hate more than that McLaren livery is the dustbin lids on the RB. the white rims.
Do you mean the racing bulls?
No, what did I say? I said
RB.
the RB. Oh, sorry, Racing Bulls. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate them so. Do you know, they remind me. You know, if you do a picnic and you go to like your supermarket and you buy the white paper plates.
Yeah. Yeah. I see it.
I just feel like someone's like literally super glued some white cardboard paper plates to that thing. It's so ugly to me. But
Yeah.
some people, I think some people like it because it's kind of got like an 80s. It's kind of got this kind of vintage, like kind of 80s vintage feel to it. But yeah, it doesn't work for me. Anyway, enough of what. It doesn't matter.
No,
what
I've got
think.
one more like looks thing, and then we can shut up about looks. I remember at the start of the season, you were pointing out how hideous the Red Bull livery looked to you in the renders, and how it looked kind of like a drink can on wheels,
like a can of Pepsi from the 80s.
Can of Pepsi on wheels. I so agree. I think I liked it at the time. I liked the potential of it at the time, but oh my god,
you know what it is?
Horrible.
It's the movement from that beautiful matte blue, that dark matte navy, to this kind of like sparkly, like there's something in the blue now that just looks so much like a can of Pepsi from the 80s. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. But anyway, speaking of Red Bull, I feel like Max is closer to walking away than he's ever been. Like, I just think, the feeling I get from him has moved from like anger to resentment. And that's a very different feeling. Like, I think at the beginning of the season, he felt angry about the Mario Kartness like of these cars. He felt like he had a political point to make. He felt like it just wasn't real racing. Now I'm feeling something different, like something like a contempt, a disdain, almost, it feels like a giving up type of anger, if that makes sense. I feel like he can't drive these cars very well. I feel like where Hadjar, as like, okay, this is what I've got, like I'm going to work out how to use it. I think what's happened for Max is something almost prideful has gotten in the way, which is that feeling of this isn't real racing. Like, why would I give my genius and my skill to this piece of crap? I think it's come back to bite him. And I think he either needs to get an attitude change and work out with his engineers, with his side of the garage, how to drive this car, because he is the best driver on the track. He either needs to work out how to drive this car and suck it up, or he probably needs to go. Because I don't see it ending well if he just becomes more resentful.
So when you say resentment, you're talking F1, not Red Bull Racing. You're talking about like the broad concept of F1 as it is in its current formula, or are you speaking specifically?
I'm talking about the new regulation set.
Yeah, right.
I'm talking about the regulation set, the 50/50 electrical engine deployment, the new regs. That's what I'm talking about.
It's curious, isn't it? Because it seems like he is able to drive the cars. He drives them quite well on a Saturday. You know, he's able to pull something out of the back pocket and qualify reasonably well lately. You know, he's kind of flipped it around. He used to qualify well, start poorly, and then have to sort of fight his way back. That was what was happening in Australia and China. But lately he seems to be pulling out better qualifying results, but just kind of having middling races. I mean, that might not be backed up by the data, but that's the kind of vibe that I'm picking. And yeah, I so agree with you about his attitude. You know, he's like a petulant child talking about how all of his toys have been taken away and how yet again, this is the terrible thing and I can't believe this is what you've given me. And I was initially thinking when you're talking about his attitude, thinking, oh yeah, well, there are some rumors about him going to McLaren. Whether or not you believe them is another story. But actually what you're pointing at is something deeper, which is a dissatisfaction with where the sport is, just full stop.
Exactly.
And that's the kind of thing, like, I guess, you know, if you've ever been in love and then fallen out of it, once you fall out of love, it's really kind of impossible to claw your way back into that position. Even though you might desperately want to actually find your way back into that in love moment with the thing. Even something as weird as a sport to fall in love with. But yeah, it's interesting. If this does happen, I won't be that sad about it, despite what I said in the Monaco Grand Prix weekend, when I thought this was F1 without Max, because I think Max has so much to give, and I'd love to see him ply his trade in other forms of motorsports. I'd love to see him go and compete at the Indy 500. I'd love to go and see him totally batter the field and run away with the 24 Hour of Le Mans. I'd love to see him do those things. In a way, maybe F1's holding Max back from his full potential. What do you think about that idea, Gav?
I think F1 is the pinnacle of motorsport, and anything less is not worth anyone's time in comparison, relatively speaking. And I think everyone knows that. And all these kind of novelty races are fantastic. Driving for 24 hours is really cool. Like driving Porsches is really cool. But like, we all know what the pinnacle of the sport is. So does Max. And I see them as novelties in comparison. I know that's a ridiculous thing to say because they're all expert fields and classes of driver, and you know what I'm saying though. You know what I'm saying, Jason.
We're all allowed to be wrong, Gav. We're allowed to be wrong. It's okay.
But do you know what? Deep down, you know I'm right, and we'll talk about it. We'll have it. We'll take this offline. But I think ultimately, what I see is Max is called Max because he max extracts from whatever vehicle he's in. He gets maximum extraction from the vehicle. And what he's hit with this new set of regulations is that every time he leans on that car to get that kind of, well, not every time, but so many times this season, when he really leans on the car to get the edge, the car fails on him. It spins out in qualifying and puts it in the wall, or something like today. It's because he's leaning too hard on it. And I think he got very used to being able to lean in his expert way on the car, and just like in a way that other drivers just either didn't have the guts to do, the confidence to do. But when he leans on this car, it gives way. And that's hard.
He's demanding. I think that's so true. I wonder, bringing it to a slightly different direction, I wonder how much Kimi was responsible for his failure today, knowing that the failure occurred going over the serrated curbs at Copse. And if he wasn't wringing the neck of his Mercedes, like a Max Verstappen, asking everything of the machinery, I wonder if he would have experienced the same kind of mechanical failure that he did.
Interesting. Yeah.
Do you remember, I think in 2020 or 2021, around the Red Bull Ring, there was a lot of attention given to the curbs there too. And there's something about different formula of F1 where they're more or less fragile when it comes to these things. And in the first year of a new regulation set, maybe the changes to the way that the wheels are housed,
I like that.
There might be something there.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's really valid. I think it's valid. I feel like we forget that we're all learning what this regulation set actually looks like, and every track that we do this year is the first time that car's been around that track, pretty much, right? So it's such a learning year, so much data. Fascinating.
Did you see on the pre-race materials, Hamilton was talking about the change from last season to this season, and how he'd asked for things and then asked for them to be put together on the simulator because they couldn't be done last year, and then he'd hopped in the simulator to validate them. And I just thought that was an interesting comment to make on that kind of pre-race package, because of what he's made, the noises that he's made this year about kind of abandoning the simulator because it's so not connected to reality.
So he hopped back on?
He said it. This was last year and coming into this year.
Oh, okay.
But he was, I guess, because in 2025, the cost cap era, all those sorts of things, they weren't able to deliver on some of the things that he was asking for. That maybe the package wasn't there. But he seems to have dropped his reliance on the simulator, and now he's back on, just standard formula. Hop in the car and drive it as fast as you can. But I guess on a sprint weekend, like this weekend was, you just don't have a lot of time. There's not a lot of time to get out there and learn some valuable lessons before the fresh rubber has got to hit the road, and it's qualifying time, sprint qualifying time. It's too much. It's too much. I'm not a fan. The sprint weekends is too much going on, especially with the World Cup. I'm sorry, I just can't handle it. We've got to pare it back, please.
I had a choice today to watch, in the middle of childcare, to watch the F1 or to watch and kind of get ready for tonight and talk about it with you, or to watch live the England game. And I chose the F1.
Hey,
Chose the F1.
there you go.
And I went all day. Like I just knew it. Like I turned off. I put my phone on airplane. I always put my phone on airplane mode if we've had an overnight race, as you know, Jace, because I don't. If I open Instagram or whatever,
Deadly.
Twitter, like it just comes at you so quick. The Guardian just gets like basically deleted. So I managed to watch the race, today in the morning or lunchtime without knowing who won, which was a miracle, a minor miracle. And I said to Jen, I can't wait to watch the England game this afternoon. It's going to be great. Like, I don't know who won. And I walked into nursery or daycare to pick up my kid.
Don't spoil it. I haven't seen it.
This South African guy just walks up to me. He's like, "Oh, congratulations, bro!" And I was like, "No!" Like, I literally made it, dude. I made it to like literally just get in the car, drive home, and I can watch it. And he just took it from me. And I just looked at him and I just said, I knew someone would do this to me. And I just
How could you do that to me?
I mean, he rightly assumed that I would know, that I would have watched it, but he doesn't know that I'm an F1 fan, and that's more important. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Can I say, while we're on the subject of the World Cup, I've been watching a bit. God, it's boring watching soccer by comparison to F1. This is someone who has played soccer my whole life and has been a fan of the sport. Having, switched allegiances now in motorsports are the pinnacle. Motorsports are the pinnacle. I find it so dull. They kind of have a little tentative look and then, oh, no, sorry, got it back to the keeper. Yeah, got to make sure we don't lose the ball. Gosh, it's dull watching soccer. I love
Isn't it so funny? Because I think the whole world, for the most part, would absolutely disagree. I'm with you. Like, I just find every single lap of those 50 to 70 laps exhilarating, fascinating. But I feel like everyone would completely disagree. Like 99% of the world would be like, no, football's so... And that look like I love football. Like football's fantastic, but for me it just has nothing. But I think that just all that really means is how invested. Like when I watch football, and you're probably not like this, but when I watch it, I don't really know the history of this guy who played for this team and moved from Chelsea to like Real Madrid, and like I guess it's just how much you know about it, But maybe you're the anomaly, Jace, because you are really into football and really into F1, and you're saying F1's better. Maybe we need to trust you.
Oh, look, if you're going to trust me about something, is this the thing? I'm not sure. But I think what I would say about F1 and about motorsports in general is that you don't stop from lights to flag unless there's a safety car or a red flag or something like that. But
slow puncture.
But the drivers, they always are on. They don't take breaks. They don't have a chance to kind of... there's no hydration break when it comes to F1. They're just constantly going flat out throughout. And there's something about that. It's so impressive to have 90 minutes of intense focus and concentration doing what they do, being able to strategize the race, make every apex, manage the battery, deal with all the competitive stuff going on, and they can barely see anything with their helmets and with the wheels as they are.
That's the nuts thing. That's the nuts thing.
What these guys can actually do week in, week out is just mind-boggling. I love it. And it's every lap there's danger. Yeah, none of this passing back to the keeper business.
If you're out there and you're listening and you love football, we love football too. We just love F1 more. Don't stop listening to these guys rant on. Excited for... Oh, by the way, like I didn't know this stat, but I thought this was kind of a cool stat. Did you know that this was Lewis's... This is the track that Lewis has won the most races. He's won nine times. And so he's won 9 times here at Silverstone. And he's won 15 podiums and now 16 as of today. It's the most ever wins at one track, and it's the most ever podiums at one track for a single driver. The records just write themselves for this guy. And here he is. How old is he now? 40? Is he 42? Yeah. And he's still on the podium.
Such a young pup.
He's a young pup. He's got great skin, to be fair.
I think, I think, wasn't it last year with Hulkenberg? Sorry, one more callback. Antonelli doing an amazing overtake coming up to the Copse corner this year. That was the corner last year where he ran into the back of Hadjar and crashed out. Because it was a wet weather race last year, so it was chaos conditions, and that was the end of his race last year. But also Lewis last year, there was something about the finish of that race where he was chasing Hulkenberg. And he was chasing Hulkenberg, I think it was something like so that he could have a podium in every year of his career, something like that. Because he had such a bad year last year that if Hulkenberg got on the podium, it was his first podium ever. And if Lewis got on the podium at the 2025 Grand Prix,
stat.
He was going to have a podium in every season of his career. And I think he failed throughout all of 2025. But yeah, man. And
that race was the race where everyone turned on Lando and Piastri, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because was it Lando, Piastri, Hulkenberg? It was, wasn't it? And they all turned on Lando and Piastri because they didn't even spray Hulkenberg with champagne. They kind of ignored him. Yeah. It was really poor form because Hulkenberg, that was the major point of his whole career.
I mean, the guy's like a OG, and he finally gets a podium after 16, 17 years of racing, and it was all because Piastri had slowed too much behind the safety car. Verstappen had gone whizzing by, and Piastri had got a penalty, and then he wanted the team orders to reverse the position so that he could get ahead of Lando Norris. And if they'd done that, Lando would not have won the world championship.
Yeah. Nico's actually doing really well this year. He's only 1 point behind Fernando Alonso, so he's doing quite well.
Is that a joke?
That's a joke, yeah.
I like it. Thank you.
18 corners, 4 straights. Silverstone is king, isn't it? It is king. 18 corners, 4 straights, 500,000 people. That today or last night was a record number. It was 560. Over 500,000 people showed up for that race. It really is. You got Matt Damon doing like the really cheesy poem at the beginning. It is really the crown, the jewel in the crown of F1, that track. And I think I finally realized why people revere this track so much, because it is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And that's all I'll say. Yeah. I'll leave that there. Yeah. I was in awe of Silverstone actually this year, and I'm just like, okay, this is epic. But we've got Spa coming up, don't we, Jace?
Well, I was thinking actually Silverstone looks a bit brown over the weekend. I'm so much more used to seeing a green, lush Silverstone. And I agree with you.
We had a heat wave.
So there's the explanation. Thank you. I was trying to work out why is it so brown. But it wasn't just that. It was the contrast from Austria, where we're in the Styrian Mountains, and then next week we'll be in the Ardennes, which is the heights of Belgium. To be sandwiched between those two is a bit of a tough ask for an old airstrip. But despite that, Silverstone puts it on. It puts on a good show. The corners are iconic. They even call back to former eras when the circuit was different, but the driving challenge has always been there. It's a former airstrip, so you get changes in air direction or wind direction, and that catches the drivers out. It's a genuine challenge. Is there any track on the year that has 4 straights apart from Silverstone? Good question.
4 decent straights.
Probably the closest to that I can think would be Bahrain. Bahrain has some long straights.
But 4 of them. I'm going to have to fact check that. We'll come back.
Bahrain's got 4 straights.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, they're not as good as Silverstone, so I'll give you that. Yeah. Can I ask you something? Is it Silverstone or Silverstone? Silverstone. Okay. It's like Leclerc. It's like maybe it's a regional dialect thing.
Yeah. But mate, cannot wait to see you in the lush green expanse of Spa. It's going to be awesome. Let's see how these cars go around there, grinding up that hill.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the overtake line is for Spa-Francorchamps. And it'll be interesting to see how much they manage to make their batteries do the hard work for them as they take that long straight up to Leclerc. Oh, it's going to be exciting. Can't wait, mate. I'll see you then.
Can't wait.